YouTube, welcome back. It's DubDigital. Today we have a very special guest to the channel. We got Aztec from Crypto Secret Circle. How you doing, man?
What's up, brother? Nice to work with you. Thanks for letting me on your channel. Yeah, so this is
great to have you, man.
The first time we've actually worked together, so this is going to be fun, just chopping it up and stuff. I'm excited to work with you and pick each other's brains.
For sure. And guys, this is the very first interview I've done on my channel. I like to have people on so we could learn from other smart people around the space, get their ideas on coins, different projects, where they see the industry going on in the future. And Crypto Secret Circle has been a channel I've been watching for a while now. He actually turned me on to Matic. I have a position in Matic because I saw some of his videos early on in my channel. So with that said, you know, man, could you start off just kind of introducing yourself, explaining your channel, and what got you into crypto and around what time that was?
Sure, bro. So I got back in 2016, probably when Bitcoin was right around $700. And I bought my first Bitcoin probably around $900. So you know how you kind of go through that phase where like, do I really want to buy, is it a scam? Is this real? You go through all that kind of thing. What got me into crypto was I was always like kind of like a prepper type guy. And I like the whole gold and silver thing. So I was collecting gold and silver for a while, and then I saw crypto, in different channels, people talking about dark web and privacy coins. And one of my first altcoins I bought was XVG, and so I think the privacy aspect and kind of being able to have your own keys and have your own money being empowered by cryptographically was like what brought me to the space. And then it just took off and jumped down the rabbit hole. But
I was about to say that the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
really is. Yeah. And your channel Crypto Secret Circle, you do something pretty similar to what I like to do. You have a mixture of TA, what I sum it up to FA, fundamental analysis, but it's really just digging into the specifics. You chop up in the white papers. I see you do that. You dig in some, I guess you would say, unorthodox places like Google Trends. I saw you in one of your videos pulling like search terms up and like that. Can you just walk us through how you like to approach a project if you look at it for the first time, just for some of our newer viewers?
So my channel is really about like breaking things down and getting down to whether or not like it's going to be viable investment for like the next year or so. Usually I start looking through I think the team initially first and the white paper. If the team had success in the past, they're probably more well established. They're going to know the right people to get in touch with to make things happen. They have a lot more credibility. And then the white paper, is it a real white paper? Doesn't make sense. And what sets them apart, what makes them different, that's what's important to me. Like, for instance, I like DeFi projects, but there's 100 different DeFi projects. Like, why is your DeFi project actually going to be better or different than the other ones? So I'll look through the white paper. And another thing too is look at the code and make sure that their GitHub repository has GitHub add-ons. How many I'm not saying the right word, but basically how many GitHub posts are they making in a week, a month, that kind of stuff.
How active they are.
Yeah, there we go. And then it gets into more like the technical stuff, and then just overall fundamental, like how's their community, because the community is a huge deal. And then that technical stuff, just like if they've already had their TGE and their coins on listed different places. I like finding something that hasn't exactly listed on the Coinbases, on the Binances, because then you have a lot more room to grow as well. So
Sounds like you're a DEX guy. Is that?
Oh yeah, I love DeFi
Yeah.
for sure.
Guys, just so you know, people newer to to crypto, DEXs, they're a game changer, man. You know, in crypto, we used to get in early on the exchanges in comparison to the what they call the herd. For DEXs, you can get a coin like a couple days later. That's like unheard of, guys. You know, so it's definitely a opportunity there. I hear you on that. Yeah, and you know, when you say, okay, there's 1,000 DeFi coins, what makes you different? You can't just slap DeFi at the end of your project. That's a very last bull run thing to do. I hear you on that too.
Yeah, you can't just have a white paper.
So with that said, I know that I spoke before that you're big on to Matic. Matic to me, when I looked at it and you brought it to my attention like half a year ago, I like to separate my purchases up in like geography, blockchains in different like countries and stuff. And I was like really underexposed in India. I mean, Matic's one of India's most promising projects in my view. Can you speak a little bit on Matic, on what you see as a use case for it moving forward?
Sure. I think they're barely kicking off, to be honest. You know, they're a layer 2. So essentially you have Ethereum, and there's all these dApps that are on top of Ethereum. And then you have the Matic network, which sits on top of Ethereum. And what it does is it empowers the dApps that go on top of Matic. So you kind of have this L1 being Ethereum, the layer 2 being Matic, and then you have dApps on top of Matic, which all work together. You know, you're getting your security from Ethereum, and you're getting your scalability from Matic. And, you know, these dApps are getting kind of like this top-down kind of approach. So they're really, really relevant, because right now, like if you use a DEX, if you use any kind of applicate or dApps on Ethereum, you're going to pay like $50 to pet your Aavegotchi, you know, or, you know, just some kind of random thing. It's insane. So what they do for you is obviously scale your dApp, but also, you know, bring the fees down way, way, way low, like, you know, less than a cent to do one transaction. So they're extremely relevant because Ethereum's getting extremely congested with all of the new dApps and all the new interest for Ethereum. So I think what we're going to see is Matic continue to grow, continue to receive a lot of interest. Big projects are going to be moving over, and it's really going to. It's still just a start, because you know there's a ton of different projects, especially the really big ones that haven't even moved over, that are still like trying to figure out which layer to. But when you talk to a lot of the guys that kind of really delve into layer 2s and study them, for instance, like Token Metrics, they have a whole team. They have their like AI-driven technology that they use. They have, you know, like guys that chart stuff. I mean, that team is like in my opinion, like a really solid team that like breaks down projects. They themselves, which I just got turned on to maybe about a month ago, but they themselves also say that Matic is the leading layer 2. So knowing that they're the head of the pack, a lot of the major influencers understand also that like Matic is huge, and these major influencers, like let's say like Lark, he's done like a lot of research. He knows a lot of the big, you know, guys ahead of dApps and stuff. So they all talk. They know like what's real, you know. And Matic is that project that's really setting themselves apart from all the other layer 2s. So. Yeah,
and I would agree with you. Like when I think of layer 2 scaling solutions, I mean, Matic really is the one that comes to the forefront in my mind, at least. You know, I mean, just take a stroll into Decentraland, and you know they got their. I think that's really cool how they have their headquarters in Decentraland, guys. If you haven't been there, check that out. It's pretty impressive. They actually have like real business going on there. I totally think Matic is going to be the, I guess, opportunity for Matic coming up. And when you talk about like Ethereum gas fees, guys, Ethereum's getting so expensive just to move your ETH anywhere. With that said, you know, that's opening up an opportunity for other protocols to shine. Interesting.
Which is scary for Ethereum.
It is, right? But it isn't if the solution that everyone picks happens to be a layer 2 for Ethereum. But with that said, I know that you said that in one of your previous videos I listened to, that you see gaming as a big use case for blockchain coming down in this next bull run. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. Gaming. So it hasn't exactly taken off the way I think a lot of people thought it was going to. I think a lot of people thought NFTs and gaming was going to take off at the end of last year. It hasn't exactly, and I think they're trying to find their niche in exactly like the technology hasn't gotten to the area where they need it to be, where they can make everything easier. And I think a lot of it also is that, kind of tying into what we were just talking about, is that a lot of the games need to move over to like a layer 2 so that they actually scale. Transaction fees are a lot cheaper. So once they do that, and you get one of these like really killer games over on like Matic, for instance, there's a pretty big project that just moved over to Matic, which is Avagachi. They have a really big following. They just built a bridge connecting, their tokens from, their DApp over to Matic, and they're working with a really big project called QuickSwap, which is a DEX on layer 2 on Matic. And then once they start getting more established and all this kind of synergy starts working together, the community start getting together, I think these dApps are really going to take off. But it's really, in my opinion, the one thing that's stopping them is just getting established on layer 2, bringing liquidity over, bringing the interest over. And one of the biggest things is also the education, because everyone has to learn how to use layer 2. It can be, kind of like a hindrance in a way, because you have to set up a couple different things and get situated. But once you get people past that, I think dApps are going to blow up, and NFTs will do really well again. The thing that killed games in dApps last bull run 2017 was that, like, CryptoKitties, they got extremely congested, and CryptoKitties kind of killed Ethereum in a way. Just that one dApp, so with all the transactions that were happening. So,
and for the newer viewers, because I have some new people on my channel, CryptoKitties, guys, was essentially like the very first NFTs. It's like the OG NFT use case, where it was basically, I forget how many of them there were, but there were different like types and unique characteristics to these pretty much digital cats. And it froze Ethereum in 2017. No, do not pass go, right? So that's been the main gripe on Ethereum, especially from people who aren't like fans of Ethereum. They laugh at it and say, how can Ethereum do anything if a bunch of cats like freeze it, But since that time, there's been people and projects trying to build out to like make that not a problem anymore. And just to tell you a little bit about how I approach like challenges in blockchains, definitely major blockchains like Ethereum with the gas fees. I mean, we obviously see Matic. That could be a scalable solution for Ethereum. But then I also like to position my capital around different blockchains that could potentially receive some of that liquidity that might flow out if it's not satisfied. Have you done any looking into EOS at all?
I think it has a lot of potential. One of the major things is just with this is kind of a thing with any other platform other than Ethereum. It's getting the developers onboarded and happy, which is like a major undertaking for any platform. Like you have to get them educated on the coding language. They need the proper tools to make everything easier for them. The money, obviously EOS, the one thing they do have is a huge war chest. So I think that if they just incentivized and then also built out the tools and brought the proper developers over and made them happy, they could go a long way. But it's really that has to happen. If that happens, I mean, they'll have a great future.
Yeah, and that's a good point, right? You could have all the tech in the world, but if it's not the common programming language, or there's really not that much talent working on that kind of programming language, then people just won't flock there as if they Solidity or something like that.
Hmm.
Interesting. Okay, and one thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around, just want to take your take on NFTs. You mentioned that. What kind of NFTs are you looking like for a bull case for this upcoming bull run? Like art, gaming NFTs, like what do you see coming down the pipe?
Honestly, if NFTs take off, I don't think it will matter. I think anything can do well in a bull run like that, end of the bull run, because like we've seen crypto kitties going for like tens of thousands of dollars in 2017. So
Yeah.
I guess potentially like anything could do well, but like what I'm interested in, that I think will have the most use case are NFTs that are connected, that are like gamified, so you can use them in a game. They are also a piece of art, and possibly being tied to DeFi would be good. So if the game has DeFi in it as well, where you can actually make money for holding the NFT, that's like that trifecta. And that could probably be that could net you a lot of money potentially. So like an example of that would be like Ape. They have governance. The NFT it's kind of like a funny piece of art, but people really like them. But it's also a gamified token, so it's kind of like a Tamagotchi from way back in the day, where you had to like take care of it, feed it, pet it, and all that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it sounds like funny, but people really get into these kind of things, and on top of that, it has DeFi. So the token, or the NFT, the non-fungible token, is it also has, like, just for holding it, it's growing in value. They call it rarity. So it's like a really unique approach to NFTs. They also have governance, so you can vote on things for holding different NFTs. So like that's like an example of something that I think could do really well. Because they're hitting like all the points. It's not just like a piece of art, which I do hold some NFTs that are just art. But it's sentimental value. Like someday I want to be able to display it on like like on a TV or something, when I'm having people over, and just be like, hey, that's my NFT, like just being a nerd and stuff. But I don't know if some of the things I'm buying will necessarily go up in value, but if I am looking for something that it will have value, it's probably something that can hit all those points.
For sure. And the reason I say that, guys, is because I don't really know exactly what to make of NFTs. Either it's going to flop or it's going to pop. That's the way I see it. No in between. Because like, think of it, guys. They're non-fungible tokens, meaning there's 1, 5, 20, whatever the number is. But guys, think of like if there was 1 or 5 or 20 Bitcoin, right? The amount of like valuations it could explode to if it actually catches traction is very interesting. And I agree with you. NFTs tied to games at least have a function, right? Beyond looking cool. And I did my toe into you ever heard of Gods Unchained?
Yeah.
It's like trading card game. A Riot Games engineers there. Makers of League of Legends, huge in South Korea. And then also has ties to Magic the Gathering, which is obviously an OG Bitcoin trading card game because of Mt. Gox. Yeah. So pretty interesting if you check that out.
Yeah, that's actually, like, I know about it, but I've never did my toes into it. I imagine that actually that project will go places just because of all of its connections. And those cards have utility. You can play, games, and they're almost like they are a piece of art as well. So that's kind of like what I would be looking for.
It's super fun too, man. I'm sitting there, I look up, oh dang, that much time's passed, I gotta stop. Like one of those where it's kind of the gameplay's there too. Right? Really? Like sometimes I look at blockchain games, I'm like, okay, I know it's a game, but is it fun? Yeah. The utility has to be there, and that's one where I've noticed like, well, this is actually pretty fun. So
I'm gonna have to check it out. It's something
yeah,
there's
check it
on
out.
my to-do list.
Hey, and just to switch topics quickly here, but throughout some of your videos, you mentioned some coins that you're looking at that I'm also looking at. I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin Cash and
All
Ethereum
right.
Classic. Those are two coins that I share bullish perspectives on. Not financial advice, guys,
Yeah.
but I share bullish perspectives on, and not too many people do. So I wanted to hear your take on those, if you don't mind.
Cool. I'll probably get a lot of hate for this. Honestly, Ethereum Classic is something I feel like you can just, it's a good trade every once in a while. I'm not overly bullish on Ethereum Classic, like as in like an long run thing, because I think Ethereum is like the project that has, which it stemmed from Ethereum Classic, but I think Ethereum has most of like the momentum as a platform and just as a brand as well, with the Ethereums. But it has a lot of potential. It has a lot of potential. It just hasn't it hasn't gained the momentum that I would like to see. But it does really well. It just has these really nice points where if you buy it, nice and low, at these nice support levels, you can make a really nice like swing trade off Ethereum Classic. So I think if anything, you can make some nice money with Ethereum Classic. Now with Bitcoin Cash, this is probably where I'll get a lot of hate. I actually think that they are a lot closer to what Satoshi actually imagined for Bitcoin. On the white paper a long time ago, it said something about like fast, cheap transactions, better money for the world. And my outlook on Bitcoin is that it's gold 2.0. It's a store of value. It's not really money. Like if you ever use Bitcoin for transactions, you can use it for big transactions, but you probably won't buy like coffee with it. You can, but you probably won't. So Bitcoin Cash is like that money with like their wallet and the way it's set up. It's extremely easy to use. It's super fast. The fees are extremely small. So as an actual like cryptocurrency, as a currency, it's like money. The other thing is, I get really deep going down these rabbit holes, studying these projects, making sure like if it's a platform, I'm making sure it's not a ghost chain. If it's a cryptocurrency, I'm looking for like who they're tied to, who's going to use it. And, like, can it really become the cryptocurrency, So Bitcoin Cash is actually tied to, I don't know if you know this guy's name's Kim.com.
Yeah.
Kim.com's, he has had a lot of success making dApps or games, or sorry, not games, applications. He had this application called Mega Upload. It had over 1 billion downloads. He was connected with a ton of different guys within Hollywood. He's a big time coder, and he's developing a new app called K.im. And this app is integrating Bitcoin Cash. Now, this is kind of something I haven't even talked about on my channel, bro. I've wanted to release it, but I like to time things properly, because usually when I find out about stuff, it's way before anyone else knows. Just because I dive into it, I look into I do a lot of research. So this one I haven't even talked about it with really anyone. So I'm going to share this with you. This is an exclusive. So
secret sauce, guys. Secret sauce.
Yeah, it is secret sauce. So I started diving into Kim.com because he started talking about Bitcoin Cash. I like Bitcoin Cash. I like the project. And I wanted to know why he was talking about it. He said he's going to, add it to his application. So I started looking into it. I looked up his application. It looks legit. He's had success. And then when you look at the roadmap of his application, in I believe at the end of Q1 this year, he's actually going to be integrating Bitcoin Cash into the point of sale system of his application. So that won't, I think what it could do potentially in the short term is that it could create a lot of hype for Bitcoin Cash, especially because it's had a pretty hard time recently. It's been sold off pretty harshly. So if you're buying Bitcoin Cash around $300 in $300 area, you could potentially get a really nice swing trade, and towards the end of Q1. And if you wanted to hold it longer, there could be a lot of utility and use case potentially coming out of Bitcoin Cash because of this application. If it just does what his other applications have done, it being the only cryptocurrency that's actually integrated, you can see a lot of potential.
Good to know. Thank you for sharing that on the channel. Appreciate it.
For sure.
I hear what you're saying on the Bitcoin digital gold thing. And some people get it confused, right? When you say digital gold, they're like, well, you can't spend it. It's slow. Well, guys, it's acting like digital gold as collateral for DeFi. Guys, a good form of collateral doesn't fluctuate too much because you get hit with margin call. You got to keep building that position. That's not good for collateral. So like Bitcoin Core is sitting over here acting like the collateral. Bitcoin Cash is more functioning like the digital cash. I do agree. But the one thing to remember, guys, when people say Bitcoin Cash is going to die, well, all the OG Bitcoin hodlers got Bitcoin Cash. It's a lot of liquidity out there. A lot of people who have vested in the success of Bitcoin Cash because they have it, and that's good to know. And if you look at like all these gold brokers, they accept Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash for sure.
It's on PayPal also. It
is. And you know what? I feel the same way with Ethereum Classic, however. Like a lot of OG Ethereum people have Ethereum Classic just because of the fork. Whenever you have a lot of people with a lot of money sitting out there with an asset, I don't know. They probably want to keep it around to some extent. But I do see a lot of rumblings, and this is something that I mentioned early on my channel, but not recently. There's a lot of rumblings on keeping Ethereum Classic alive. Things been getting 51% attack. IOHK is reaching in there. Charles Hoskin trying to save them. Maybe combining their mining with Bitcoin mining. Not even sure how that would really work. But I just see that there's a lot of other ecosystems trying to save this one ecosystem.
Just gotta say that. Point, though, that a lot of these OGs do hold it. So they're going to want to try to keep it around since they hold it. Like if you're holding a ton of an asset, you can't easily get rid of it in some cases without, let's say, wrecking an order book, or you might be able to find like an OTC type platform, or make some large sells. But a lot of these guys just hold their assets, these big guys, and they'd rather just try to keep create the connections to keep it alive, and getting money flowing into it than just letting the asset die and having to like sell it all. So it's a good point.
Yeah, guys, and that's called slippage. Whenever you try to sell a lot of an asset, say you're like a whale and you start selling a lot, the price will start going down on you, which means you get less and less profit, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. But yeah, man, that's it's interesting information you said about Bitcoin Cash. Got to keep an eye on that. And there's always like a negative sentiment around that asset. And I don't know, but I love things that people hate.
Yeah.
I love it when people hate assets because this whole maximalist idea in crypto lets people miss opportunities, in my view. I want to hear about this stuff they're not taking seriously. So,
right.
Yeah. Anything on the horizon you see coming down the pike for crypto that getting you jazzed, like another industry other than gaming? What are your takes on that?
Yeah, definitely DeFi.
DeFi.
So last year I was saying, I was extremely bullish on Matic. I was buying Matic, around 1 cent the entire year whenever it dipped. Now it's about 4 cents. So that was a huge play for me. Still holding a large portion of it because it's staking. and I'm just getting rewards on it. I think this year, though, I think Matic still has a huge use case. I don't want to say, it's not Matic this year, because I think Matic has a huge use case, especially now that dApps are really needing to move. Another project that I really, really like is Unilend. I do work with the project kind of on the side, so just so everyone knows. But I am bullish on it for reasons that are really important to look at. Their technology is off the charts. So their goals, their partnerships. If you look at who they're strategically partnering with, these are cutting edge DeFi products that are going to like revolutionize the DeFi industry. And they're all working together to create almost like this suite of different capabilities, and their protocols are all going to join together. So, for instance, recently, Unilend, they have they have their protocol. They just partnered with Injective Labs, so that's huge, because that's bringing. Unilend has like this technology that's like they have lending and borrowing, but it's also permissionless. So you can add any coin or token to the protocol, and then you can then lend and borrow that asset on the protocol. Well, Injective Labs has derivatives, so you can now take derivatives of coins, and potentially in the future, once they get it all together, and lend and borrow your derivatives. So it's like making money on top of money. And one of the really interesting partnerships they also made recently is with Mirror Finance. Mirror Finance is a DeFi project that allows you to essentially mirror another asset in the world. So, for instance, you can create a token that has a smart contract that will mirror like Apple stock. So essentially, you're getting a decentralized version of Apple stock, so you can trade it, but you can then take it on, in the future, you can put it on Unilend and lend and borrow your asset or your Apple stock. What's cool about this is these I'm sure you heard like yesterday, this whole like GameStop thing came out.
Yeah.
And like now Robinhood is saying, hey, guys, you can't sell your GameStop or something along those lines. They're saying you can't either sell or buy, a certain stock.
For sure.
And they're hurting like the average person, just so that the billionaire class can, get their stuff situated so they're not losing money. Well, in a decentralized world with these kind of protocols, you can't do that because no one controls it. It's not centralized, it's decentralized. So what's cool is seeing these kind of protocols come together to create a new world where you'll be able to buy and sell your GameStop whenever you want, essentially. But Unilend is like this almost like central hub that's going to have all these other protocols on top of it, and all the ERC-20s. And if you read through their literature, you also see that they also want to bring in other coins and tokens from different blockchains like Neo and Crow, and just like random coins. Sorry, Crow's not a great example, but like Neo is like BEP2 technology, and just different types of, probably like, because they're inter-blockchain essentially. That's what Unilend Finance is going to be. So they're going to be able to take any kind of coin or token as well in the future, and also you'll be able to lend and borrow, bring that into DeFi. So it's just like this huge protocol. It's extremely cheap right now, and they had a token unlock recently, so the price came down a little bit. So that's something I'm actually looking at. DeFi in general, but so you got your Aave, you got your blue chip stuff, Aave, synthetics. But I really think the new stuff that's coming through, this kind of like inter-blockchain, kind of do whatever you can do anything on it, DeFi. I mean, that's the next big thing. And all these protocols are super cheap right now. So
I hear you on that. And that's interesting. So basically Unilend is pretty much universal liquidity, right? You can put any digital asset you want into there, absorbed into the liquidity pool. You get yield, I'm assuming, right? For lending your liquidity. Yeah, and it's basically using synthetic digital assets, right? So they're connected up to a data oracle, I'm assuming?
they will be. So like the Uniland just had their alpha release. So it's an NFP1. So they're still in their alpha, but in the future, they'll have oracles tied in. And from my understanding, they're probably already in the first discussions of working with these oracles. And, there's all the other protocols that are also working with them are, tied to different oracles, to get the data feeds and everything. But just to let everyone know, I mean, it is still early, and these projects are still kind of like on their alphas or betas, and they're getting to their mainnet. Some of these already have mainnets, but for instance, with Uniland, they're an alpha. So another thing like about my channel, like what I like looking for is stuff that's early. Nobody understands the tech. Nobody like even knows about it, or they hate it. Like you said, is a good point. And they either you're just buying it really, really cheap, because at some point when people realize, what, like with Matic, they're like, oh, dude, layer 2 is super important. You're going to be like, you're going to see a huge rise, in price, which is already happening with Matic. I'm, not financial advice, but I imagine you're going to see that kind of thing with DeFi, especially with something I kind of forgot to say. The big players are really looking at DeFi. The Gemini twins or Winklevoss guys, Binance is behind a bunch of these DeFi projects. And even banks are looking at, you look at some of the legislation that's being put into place right now or being proposed, they're talking about allowing DeFi protocols to be part of, the future of finance, like in actual legislation. So it's interesting. And banks actually are talking about DeFi, like just random banks. So I think DeFi is going to be a lot bigger than people think. I think a lot of people look at it and they're like, it's still in their alphas, or it's hard to use, kind of, you got to learn all this stuff. Like right now, at least, the UI hasn't gotten totally, up to par with like mass adoption kind of usability exactly in some cases. But, when that gets fleshed out, which is kind of just like the cherry on top, that's these protocols are going to blow up, man, especially with the big interest coming in.
Check me if I'm wrong, but this is my understanding what's happening in the DeFi sector right now. We're seeing the merging of traditional markets with decentralized markets, i.e. the synthetic, phenomenon occurring on different protocols, right? Where things aren't necessarily stocks of Tesla, but it might track the price of it, right? Do you guys see the transition of money it's going to start floating in, especially with traditional markets stopping regular retail investors from buying and selling their own assets that they own, right? This is like now bringing it to the forefront. I see a bunch of people on Twitter talking about, hey, tokenize GME over here, tokenize it over here.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, if this is might be the one thing everyone needed to actually see, like, oh, blockchain is an alternative to like authoritative stuff, And with the banking legislation that you bring up, that's interesting, because I always thought that DeFi would be the killer app, because you look around, I mean, traditional finance can't get yield. They can't, they're mandated. Money managers are mandated to get a certain percentage or they're out of here, sucker. DeFi is given at least 10% on stable coins.
Mm-hmm.
That's unheard of. That's like a year in the stock market. Like people target 8%.
Yeah, those are really good points, man. That's really good points.
Yeah. Anything else? Other coins? I'm interested in like anything in the top 10 that you're looking at, other than what we've discussed previously.
Another thing I'll probably get a lot of hate on is XRP.
Yeah, you will.
See, but the thing is I don't care what people think. Like
that's fine.
I'm looking for what's going to make me money, and people talk about like centralization, like it's an evil thing. I know that what we're here for is decentralization, but decentralization is a spectrum. I mean, you got stuff that's on this side, you got stuff that's on this side of decentralization, or decentralized or less. And to a certain extent, XRP is kind of centralized, but it's also decentralized. It's a distributed ledger technology. So I'm really just looking at what the projects are going to do. Are they going to help people still? Potentially, do they have that use case? And also, our government's potentially going to use like a project like XRP or XLM. You look at XLM's getting traction from a lot of the European nations to create their CBDCs, their central bank digital currencies. Yeah. XRP can actually be used for this as well. Both projects were created by Jed McCaleb, and what I'm starting to see is that this new administration that's come through, they're not like I think recently they just said that they want to hold off on all the federal cases and not just like drop the hammer on everything that came from the previous administration. They want to hold off and inspect them. What that could potentially mean is that some of these cases, like the Ripple case, could potentially go away, which is one thing. Or two, you do see some of the people in the new administration that don't like crypto, but then there's a lot of them that really like crypto. So from my research, I could see the Ripple case drying up really quickly. If that dries up, XRP is just automatically going to move. Like, I hate to be totally a move boy, but that thing could shoot up to $1 like overnight.
I agree.
So I think like in top 10, I'm still looking at XRP, Bitcoin Cash. Cardano is something I've liked for a really long time. I bought Cardano back when it was, I have a video talking about it. I bought it like at 2 cents, like 2.50 or 2.5 cents, something like that. It's over 30 cents now. That technology is crazy, like what they're getting tied up with. So, those are projects I'm looking at just because they're so fundamentally strong. Some of them I bought back in 2018 when there was the bear market, everything went 99% down, and like they're just sitting in staking wallets now. I don't really care where the price goes because it's like I bought it at 2 cents.
So, yeah, you're like sitting on fat profits. Even if it tanked 70%, you're still up like hundreds of percent. Yeah. There's a lot of projects, honestly, in the top 10 that are really relevant. Binance is still huge, but I think that we're going to start seeing slowly the decay of centralized exchanges and the move of liquidity from centralized exchanges to decentralized exchanges. And I think that's why Binance is creating their smart chain, because they're gonna be creating a lot of interest for like DEXs and different DeFi protocols and stuff. So they're still gonna win out, and they'll probably tie their token to the new exchanges, or DEXs, I should say, and DeFi protocols. So I think no matter what, they're on the cutting edge of stuff. They're investors in tons of projects. I mean, they invested in Matic, being that it was an IEO, initial coin, or initial exchange offering on their on Binance.com. So they got their hands in everything. I imagine they still will succeed in the future. Yeah, CZ is an entrepreneur of the century, man. Like, that guy made off his laptop, guys, in a year, brought in more money than JP Morgan brought in. Wow. And like, one of the knocks on Binance was that it was a sketchy, whatever, exchange. But I don't think you can say that anymore about their IEOs. There's plenty of successful projects that came out of that. Matic, Elron's killing it.
Yeah.
So it's really stepping up in like an echelon of exchanges. And then also, like, with them doing the Binance Smart Chain, they're reading the writing on the wall. They're saying we probably shouldn't be tied to this later on in the game. It's trying to make an automated avenue.
Yeah.
But interesting, and I share your same sentiments on Cardano, or Cardano, whatever you want to say, potato. But yeah, they have inroads in Africa, guys. They're really expanding in Africa. I haven't seen another chain doing it like that in Africa.
That's really important because I think India is like a fire place. That place is just blowing up crypto wise. They're going to be a hub themselves. But bringing up Africa is actually a really, really good point. And Charles Hoskinson seen this way long time ago that Africa is like they really want crypto, and they're using it, and they're already using. I think it's called M-Pesa. It's a digital type currency that you can use on your phone. So they're already used to this kind of world. And like if you look at some of like the Google Trends data and some of the data of some of the hottest spots for people searching for crypto and this kind of stuff comes out of Africa. Specifically, I think what comes up a lot is Nigeria. So you already know there's a ton of money there. There's a ton of influence, smart, brilliant minds. Charles Hoskinson's seen it before anyone did. So knowing that he's already built out a lot of the connections and, already established himself in Africa is huge, man. Like that's great for Cardano because, a lot of these projects, they're either in Asia. Asia's a great place as well. Got projects in the United States, but when you can actually take your project and build yourself in not only Asia but Africa and the States as well, like he's doing, because his headquarters is in like Wyoming. He's going to build a lot of traction, so that's exciting for Cardano.
Yeah. And I read a couple articles on that not too long ago, and Charles said, who do you think DeFi is for? It's not for people who want to get rich off crypto. It's for the unbanked. It's for people who don't have access to capital. It's for entrepreneurs in places where capital doesn't go. So it's going to be really interesting to see once Web 3.0 is turned on and a value layer that's put over it, what happens in these countries that typically aren't serviced at all by the banking system. And it's the first time in human history, really, guys, where we have unbanked who are going to be leapfrogging the banked because it's just more natural in the way they do business and live their lives. Just really quick on the XRP so you don't catch too much hate by yourself. Okay. I do share your same opinion on that, man. Like, if XRP shakes this off, essentially what it's saying is it's getting clearance that it's not a security.
Yep.
That happens. That thing almost hit $1 already. It could go there again and some. But, I'm not buying anything else, but like, I don't see why XRP can't go up. They already have a stronghold in Japan. A lot of people don't know that, but SBI Group, a banking consortium in Japan, is like 50% of their holdings in crypto is XRP. So crypto, guys, is a global community. If it doesn't work out in one country, there's going to be someone who's going to be looking at it. That's my take on it.
Just to add on to that, most of the trading is like XRP trading is all out of the United States. Like the United States actual effect on the trading is so minimal. So if people are making such a big deal out of it, in my opinion, if they called it a security, it doesn't matter. Like Japan doesn't even care. They're like, we don't care what the United States is. A security in the United States is not a security here. We're still going to, trade it, use it, integrate it. So you're going to hear a lot of stuff in the news, crypto news. It's FUD. They're just bringing the price down so that institutions or private investors can just gobble up crypto on the cheap, and it's not even like like there. I don't know what the saying is. I always say it wrong, but like they say there's news for the I think there's news for the masses and there's news for the classes, and what they tell the masses, you got to be careful because it's just wrong in some cases, and you gotta like stay up with guys like DubDigital and with me, because we can see past this. We've been around for a while, and we know what's actually what's actually happening. So I think what the elites are talking about is, because I actually know a lot of people in the industry. You look at guys like Ralph Powell. He's already talked about XRP, like, oh, that could be a good play, if it went down here, and legislation, came through, blah, 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 so these guys don't care. They're the news is, in my opinion, is sometimes irrelevant.
Yeah. Watch what they do, not what they say, right?
Exactly.
And what I see is they're stopping people from buying XRP. That's what I see. So if you're either in it or you're not going to get into it, we'll see what happens as time goes on. But hey, I'm not counting that horse out of the race. Before we, call it quits, any words of wisdom you can give some new people entering the crypto market that might save them some grief or some headache?
Yeah, definitely. So I got a ton of people asking me about getting in. I just today I had one of my family member, this girl, she's like, should I buy Doge? And I was like, what are you talking about? Why do you want to buy this? How do you know about it? And she's like, everyone on Twitter is talking about it's popping up and this thing's going to go to $1.
Man.
It could, because it's an oscillator. But I guess like my thing is, know what you're buying. Like, know like why you're buying it. Do the research and try to buy low, so you can sell high. Don't chase pumps. Don't look for something that's already exploded. Kind of when you're new, try to be a value investor. Wait for because you'll save a lot of money and time if you just buy something really cheap that has a really strong use case. It's going to be important in the future. You know what you're buying and buy it cheap. You're in crypto, you're probably going to make money. So that would be my tip.
Notice he talks about price levels. This man understands that even if something's a good investment, it doesn't mean it's always a good investment. Price matters, right? So, hey man, appreciate you being on the channel. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Thanks for letting me be here, man.
Anytime. So guys, this is Aztec of Crypto Secret Circle. Where can the people find you, man?
I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube mainly. Different Telegram chats. But my channel on YouTube is Crypto Secret Circle. And on Twitter, it's my handle is @circle_crypto. It's kind of backwards, but you can find me there. And if you want to find me, you can't remember, just ask Dub here, and he'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, we'll throw up a card or something on the video for sure. But hey man, really appreciate it. Guys, make sure to go follow his YouTube channel, Very Astute Mind in the Crypto Game. I appreciate his point of view. But with that said, Aztec, appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Have a good one, brother.